What's up everybody, Greg here with Lens Pro to Go, and this week I have a ton of lens tests for you, starting today with the Schneider Xenon full-frame primes. This is the 25mm, and every day this week I'm going to be releasing the next focal length, so tomorrow will be 35, then 50, 75, and 100mm lenses, so make sure to stay around and check those out when they get released. We're going to be putting these lenses through 4 different tests, first starting off with flaring, then breathing, bokeh, and then lastly edge distortion and sharpness. All the time codes for them will be linked to in the description if you want to jump ahead to a specific test. The camera that we're shooting on is the Arri Amira. We're shooting in 4K UHD 16:9 ProRes 444. If you want to see the rest of our camera settings, they will be also in the description below. Now let's get this lens on the camera and we'll start the tests. So starting with the flaring, what we're going to do is just pan and tilt around with the light inside the frame. You can see right off the bat we get this really strange purple orb with a red ring around it. It's actually very saturated, especially when you go into the darker areas. When we tilt up here and it goes into the lighter areas and the white of the ceiling, it becomes much less noticeable. But then again, as we tilt down and go into those darker areas on the darker colors on the wall and then the wooden floors, it definitely gets more vibrant and saturated. It's pretty strange because that's the only sort of flare. There's a little bit of blooming elsewhere as well, but that's the main flare with this lens. And then we're going to do the same thing and we're just going to pan and tilt with the light outside of the frame. Again, you can see that purple orb going around the outside edge, and we're getting a little bit of blooming from the light, but nothing too extreme. And then when we tilt down with the light on the left side, we get some cool blooming and streaking coming across the frame. And then we're just going to tilt back up to center. And if you pause it right around here, you can see some pretty harsh rainbow effects right around the source, right underneath it towards the direction of the orb. Next up, we're going to take a look at breathing. And to do this, we're just going to be racking focus from close focus to infinity. And you want to look on the edges to see how much the lens zooms in and out. That's what the breathing is. And there's almost no zooming in and out or breathing on the edges, which is a really great thing to have in a lens. Next up, we're going to look at edge distortion and sharpness. For this, we're just panning side to side with my face in the center of the frame, and then we pan to it off to the side so you can see how it stretches out and has some distortion towards the edges. Even at 25mm, this lens actually is really good, and there's not too much of that stretching distortion like you see with some other wider lenses. Also, unlike the Xenon 3s, this lens holds that focus sharp right on my eyes. It doesn't drift back to my ears, which is pretty interesting to see in this lens, which is quite a bit cheaper. Lastly, we're going to look at some bokeh. Right now we have the chart focused at 2 feet 6 inches away, and I'm just going to go through the aperture range closed all the way down and then opened up to a T2.1. Now looking at the bokeh in the background in the Christmas lights, you get this cool sort of effect where the center is a little bit darker than the outer edges, so you get this almost halo looking bokeh. Kind of interesting. It's definitely a different look than some of the other lenses that we've looked at. I don't know how I feel about it. Personally, they look kind of like frog eggs or something like that. I prefer a little bit more even and smooth bokeh, but this is definitely something different if you're trying to stand out. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for the Xenon 25mm full frame prime. If you guys want to try this lens out, make sure to head on over to lensprotogo.com. I'll throw a link to it in the description below. And if you have any questions about this lens or any of the lenses in the lineup, or any suggestions about lens tests I should be putting these through, make sure to leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for new videos every week, and I'll see you in the next one.